You've talked a bunch about guns and the controversy that it has in the black community. Do you think, but what I find interesting is that you do lay out some numbers. I've heard you talk about the numbers of the amount of black on black crime and all that stuff. You get a lot of pushback on that, right?
Yeah, I just think that as an African American, and keep in mind, Dave, I lost a loved one that I was close to, that I helped raise, spent a lot of summers with me. It was a cousin. His mom was like a sister to me growing up. His name's Anton Butler. He was killed, in me and my family's view, because of police misconduct. He was tasered to death in the rain, unarmed. And again, the police have a different narrative, and you can go look it up. This happened in Indianapolis in 2012. Okay. I've been touched by police misconduct, paid for the funeral, shed the tears, but I don't believe my cousin got in that position because the police are out just to do indiscriminate harm to black people. I believe he got in that position because of America's drug war and mass incarceration policy, and he was a felon through his involvement with drugs. And that vulnerability of being a felon who had done time put him in a place where he could be subject to police misconduct. But is police misconduct our real issue as African Americans? No, it's not. The government is already highly motivated to stop police misconduct because it's highly expensive. When the police kill someone, harm someone, there are lawsuits and there are settlements with the families. And the government does not want to do that. What the government wants done is for poor people, regardless of color, but poor people escorted politely to jail. If you escort them politely to jail, you can turn a buck on them. You can make a profit. The prison industrial complex can eat off of politely escorting people to prison. Mm-hmm. They don't want the police, and there's all kinds of things set up to prevent the police from harming people, and they do it very rarely. Social media has convinced us that that police are just randomly out killing people, and it's just not true.
So I saw a video that you did about the social media component of this, that it confuses what the actual stats are, what the actual issues are, things like that. You call them cyberhumans?
Cyberhumans, yeah.
Cyberhumans. So tell me a little bit about cyberhumans, because I talk about this idea a lot too, that online thing is starting to leak into the real world.
It's not leaked, it's there.
It's there.
The media, we're addicted to social media. We're addicted to Twitter. If you go look at the stats, the overwhelming majority of Americans have nothing to do with Twitter. Nothing. It's not a representation of what people actually think in American society. The media over-indexes, celebrities over-index, athletes, people that are trying to build brands, and people that are attracted to people that are trying to build brands are the people that are on social media. And so because the media overindulges in social media and because we use it as wet our fingers, oh, this is the way the wind's blowing because Twitter tells me so.
Yeah.
So if Twitter tells you that the police are indiscriminately just killing black men every night, and the media buys into that, the media starts selling. Oh, unarmed black men killed, unarmed black men killed. And they'll never address the hundreds and thousands of killings that poor people and poor people of color and black people are doing to themselves every day. That never gets addressed. There's no Twitter feed that's popular that's out there telling you who's getting shot in Chicago every night, every weekend. And so there's no hysteria around that. They created a hysteria around when the police make mistakes and or do something evil, which is very rare. Trust me, policemen don't want to go to jail. Yeah. Not a good experience for them. Policemen don't want to be the targets of the vitriol that goes along with killing anybody. Now, are there some bad cops? Absolutely. Yeah. But what is our problem as African Americans? It's the gun violence we do to ourselves. That's what's taking us out and having a real impact. And that's what has our communities living in fear. I say this all the time. My dad was as black a human being as you could possibly be. He could afford to live wherever he wanted. He built a new house in the ghetto because he liked being around black people. He had a business that he ran in the ghetto because he liked dealing with black people. When he put alarms on his business, when he put bars on his business, when he put an alarm on his home, when he carried a 38 every day that I knew him, it wasn't because he was like, Jason, man, these police are out to get me. They may break into my home. They may break into my...
Right,
that wasn't it.
Yeah.
He was worried about the people in his neighborhood and the fear. And again, the guy loved black people.
Yeah.
But the reality of what's going on in our communities, there's not a pervasive fear of the police. There's a pervasive fear of ourselves.
There's so many interesting layers to that because just 10 minutes ago we were discussing gun control. Now you're describing how your dad had a 38. And it wasn't, he wasn't using it to stop the government from coming to get him. It was to protect his own property and family and all that stuff. So is it just a gun issue? So I've had a few people on here that have talked about how the policies, often of the Democrats, have left the black community with these sort of scraps that have sort of kept them in that position. Do you basically prescribe to that?
I think that, yes, I do prescribe to that. This far left progressive ideology, I think, is a shell game. It's a trick. It's a mirage. We tell you we're for black people, and we again, I wrote in the Wall Street Journal this week about President Clinton was an expert at making black people feel he felt their pain. Mm-hmm. And he was an expert at creating policies that intensified that pain. And so President Clinton loved us to death, but instituted some mandatory minimum sentencing policies, some anti-drug war policy, or some drug war policies that contributed greatly to mass incarceration, which is crippling black people.
So is that the issue there, that when you talk about these progressive policies, that they all kind of sound good?
Sound great.
It all sounds good. We care about black people, we care about gay people, we care about Muslim people. But the policies themselves, when you get down to it, are a lot more complex than just saying we're for all these communities, which is really just some pie-in-the-sky stuff.
Yeah, I think that, again, let's take Black Lives Matter. And I was saying this in 2015. I was like, man, this Black Lives Matter thing sounds so great, but it's poison. And I was saying, I didn't know Trump was running for president in 2015 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I was like, an atmosphere is being created for a Trump-like person to enter into politics and benefit from Black Lives Matter. And I say that because I have a very dear friend in Kansas City who's probably left of Bernie Sanders. And he and his wife adopted, brought in their home a half black, half white child. They have 2 kids already. They adopted a kid who basically they had no place else to go. So again, I'm trying to tell you what kind of people they are. And when the situation at the University of Missouri, mm-hmm. with the kids protesting, mimicking the Black Lives Matter out of St. Louis, and they cost the president at that school his job, yep. all based off of he didn't say this, or microaggressions, or whatever it is. Yeah. My friend, hardcore University of Missouri fan, was like, whoa, what are we doing here? What? And he had, I don't want to put him out there, but he had questions about black people, and like, hey, well, and I'm telling you, this guy loves everybody. Yeah. He's to the left. But the thing that happened at the University of Missouri bothered him. Not to the point that would ever vote for Trump, but I was like, whoa, if this bothered him, oh my God, what are the people that are more moderate, or conservative, what are they thinking looking at this? And they were thinking, oh, okay, y'all want to do this? We're going to head to the ballot box and have a real riot.
Yeah, I love the way you frame that example, because I think these things are personal, and they do come down to those little moments as a human, and they don't come down to the Twitter outrage and the media outrage and everyone's tuning out of CNN and all that stuff. Because I would notice that too when I've talked a lot about the college stuff and all that, and I get tons of email, people saying, I'm a liberal, but what the hell's happening here? What's happening to my guys? So when you make it about that personal story, that actually resonates.